Hi, I'm Jan with Academic Technologies, and welcome to our second video on Microsoft Sway. In our last video, we focused on how to get a Sway presentation started and how to add content using the cards in the storyline section of the platform. Today, we'll be focusing more on the design section and how to use the tools there to turn all of that content into a fun, engaging experience. Once again, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us in Academic Technologies or to me directly at jana.doherty@cnu.edu. So let's not delay, let's get back into our presentation. As I mentioned in our last video, Sway is broken up into two sections, which you can see at the top left of the platform. To switch from storyline to design mode, just click Design, and you'll see the entire platform change. Instead of the cards, you'll now see a preview of how those cards are currently layered together in your layout. We can see our title screen, some of our text and our images, and you'll see that those cards are layered together in a dynamic, more seamless way. Any of the tools you could use to alter that layout are going to be in the Styles sidebar, which can be opened using the button in the upper right. The first tool you'll see is a set of orientations you can choose from. While Sway will default to making presentations that scroll vertically, you can also have them scroll horizontally, or set up each card as presented in a separate slide. Now this is where some information from the previous video may need to be revisited. If you remember that previous video, we talked about how uploading an item like a PDF will result in all the elements of that PDF being broken down into separate cards. Let's take a quick look there. And there's our separate cards. Now, those cards will be relayered in the design section to look more properly like the original document. If our Sway is in the vertical layout, like it is now, you can see that the trick of the platform layers them to make the PDF look the way it did originally. We can see all of those elements coming together. However, if you choose to reorient your Sway horizontally, like so, the illusion is going to be broken. So if we go here, we'll see that all of our elements now come together in a way that's not really all that seamless. The illusion is broken even further if you have each card presented as its own slide. So if we click through all those slides now, it makes literally no sense. This is one big example of why choosing your orientation can be important in the design section. While in many cases it's only an aesthetic decision, in cases like this, it can completely change how different pieces of content relate to each other, and may make your presentation completely incoherent if chosen incorrectly. So, when choosing your content, keep that in mind, and look at your Sway's orientation accordingly. Let's go back to our vertical orientation for now. You also have tools in this bar that can let you control elements like your presentation's color scheme, font, and other background elements. You can see a lot of pre-made sets of these elements here in the style bar, and you can click between them to choose as much as you'd like. To try them on and see which one suits the presentation you want to make. However, if you find that none of these pre-made setups suit you, you have a couple of options. First, you can click the Remix button to apply some settings at random. I'm not a big fan of that though. So, we're going to click the Customize button to create our own. From here, we can use one of the images in the presentation as an inspiration for the platform to create possible color palettes. In this case, I'm going to use the image of the crest on my title page, which will then generate a few color palettes that I think are very pretty. Let's pick that one there. I can also select a font for all of my text using this Font Choices dropdown. In this case, I like Bodoni, so I'm going to keep it. Finally, I have two sliders at the bottom of this space. The first slider controls the level of animation the platform will generate for your presentation. We're going to leave that at intense so you can see what those animations look like at the end of the video. The second slider controls how large any text on your presentation appears. We can set the text to small so it takes up less space, or to large if you need to present to a crowd and have them read it more easily. I like normal though, so let's switch it back. And once you're done here, you can click the X at the top right to close the style bar, or go back to the main space here. Let's just click the X. At this point, we've gone through the obvious tools you can use to tweak your Sway's visuals. But there are a couple of more things you can do on a more piece-by-piece basis. For an example of this, we're going to need an image. Let's use this one. If we click on a piece of content, like this image or a video, a set of options will come up. They include focus points, the emphasize button, and the ability to delete that content. Let's start with the second one, since it's a more universal tool for different content types. Emphasizing something allows you to choose whether or not this piece of content is small, medium, or large. Or as Sway likes to put it, subtle, moderate, or intense, the same way we did with the text. Let's change this particular image to intense to make it a lot more prominent in our presentation. For some content, specifically static content like pictures, you'll also have this button that says Focus Points. Clicking on Focus Points will bring up a sidebar, which will allow you to set focus points on the image, meaning that no matter how the presentation is laid out, and no matter how else the image is altered or moved, that point in the image will always be visible. We already have a pair of focal points set here. We can remove them by clicking Reset, add a focus point by just clicking on the picture, or we can tell Sway that the entire image is important and must be visible no matter how else the presentation is oriented. But I just want that one focus point for now. When you're done setting focus points, you can click the X in the top right of the focus points sidebar to close it. Now that we've used all the tools available to us, Sway will do the rest to turn our content into a coherent, engaging presentation. Although I do want to take a second, switch this back into vertical. But now we can use the play button to exit this preview and look at what this Sway will look like when presenting to students. We can already see some of the animations that were mentioned in the style bar here as you play your presentation. This is because this is what the full, complete presentation will look like, and will be how you would present if you're using this to show your Sway to a crowd in the room in front of you. However, you can also share this particular view directly to your audience's computers using the Share button, which gives you several ways to share this presentation. However, due to the way we have distributed CNU credentials, we personally recommend using the sharing link here, rather than sending invitations to specific people's email one at a time. Just make sure to choose the level of permissions you want your viewers to have in your presentation, either view access or edit access. Copy the link shown here, and then send it off using whatever method you see fit. In addition, please keep in mind that because we are a G Suite for Education school, and not a school that's using Microsoft as an organization, You'll want to avoid using the button that says to share your Sway with those in your organization. Do not use that button. It won't help you any. And those are the basics of using Microsoft Sway. We hope that this video mini-series was helpful to you and that you now feel empowered to use this new platform to create presentations that are more dynamic and engaging than other platforms you may have used in the past. As always, if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us in Academic Technologies or to me directly at jana.docherty@cnu.edu. See you soon!